Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Alex, and today we're going to be going over my tentative list of books to read for 25 and 25, a challenge created by Bree at Paws and a Book. I will link her down below. I am someone who reads a lot, so theoretically, I want to read all of these, but in reality, we'll see how it goes. This challenge does come with a bingo board. I'm just going to be running across the rows and showing you the books. Well, the ones I can. For the first space, it is a 2025 new release. And I've chosen a book that is coming out in March, and that is The Hymn to Dionysus by Natasha Pulley. I assume I'm saying her name correctly. It's Greek mythology. That's really all I need. It's from what I understand, it is a gay romance semi-retelling from the sounds of it. I don't know a lot of Dionysus's myths, so it's something that I'm going to have to look into a bit if I want to understand the context around it. The next space is a one-word title. The, a, all of those count as a word, must be a single word. So for that, I'm doing Rapture by John Shirley. It is a BioShock, if anyone's familiar with the game. It's a book out of that series. I will be the first to say, I've never played the games, and I watched someone play BioShock Infinite and then looked up the other game. I don't play a lot of video games, but it sounded like a cool story. I will be the first to admit, I know basically nothing about this, and I'm not one to just sit there and read the back of the book to y'all. If you know the BioShock story or history, I feel like this is pre the game, the first BioShock game, so we'll see how that goes. The next space is a book that involves travel, and for that I went with Starbringer by Tracy Wolff. This is an odd choice for me, but it is a chunky book. This is about a very ragtag group of people on a ship traveling to save someone. I am not a big space person as far as stories go like this. I am not a big sci-fi person. But when the group is described as a princess, a prisoner, a con artist, a warrior, a priestess, a mercenary, and the asshole in charge of us all, it just sounded kind of hilarious. My hope is that this group is what's carrying a lot of this story, because that sounds like an amazing group of people. The next space is a book you bought because of the cover. This is a twofold one. This, if you can even see it, it is so shiny, is the box cover. This is the special edition of Shadow and Bone. Now you want to see the actual cover of this book? Look at that! Look at it! That is gorgeous! I don't know anything about this book. I know it was really popular on TikTok for a while. That's about it. Look at the it's so pretty. So, I am going to read this. Somehow, this is going to fit. I have picked a lot of chunky books for 2025. So the next space, which is a new row, read a book in the season it's set. So if it's set in summer, read it in summer. If it's set in autumn, read it in autumn. You know, that kind of thing. So I picked The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. This is set around Yule. specifically a Yuletide wedding. And the witch has been asked by his friend to attend this wedding, where he meets a non-witch, but her job is to sell ingredients and components and, all the things a witch might need. It is a romance. It's, not too bad. I think I'm going to like it because it's kind of my vibe. Oh, I kind of like seeing a male witch once in a while represented. I'm sure they are, and they're just called sorcerers or warlocks or something, which we won't get into the whole argument over that term. But this seemed like a fun little read, and it works for that prompt. Next space is LGBTQ rap, and I'm going with The Temperature of Me and You by Brian Zepka. It's a teen thing. I get the impression this dude that he ends up liking is an alien or something, because when they're near each other, there is a whole, something going on where he's got either a power or something. I don't know. It sounded interesting, and the cover is actually really pretty. I love that color scheme. As an artist, that color scheme is really good. I don't have a lot to say until I actually read it. Okay, so the next space is a favorite author's new release, or newest release. I do not physically have this one. I either have to get it or find it at the library, which is a whole nother issue. But I am going to probably be doing F.T. Lucan's Otherworldly. I like F.T. Lucan's. I like the way they write, because I don't actually... No, I've never actually looked up the author, so I probably should at some point. So I'm looking forward to reading more of their writing. The next space is a hyped book, and I will be the first to admit I don't stay up to date remotely on books that are being hyped up and whatever. If someone I know isn't reading it, I don't know it exists. I don't stay up to date on anything. Most of the times I get my hands on a book about 6 years after it's been released. It's a whole thing. But I do know this book was hyped when it came out. Somehow I came in the possession of it. Probably, I think I know how, but I'm going with The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood. I remember people losing their minds over this book. Good, bad, or otherwise, they lost their minds. So, I'm going to give it a try. I really don't have an opinion on it other than it's romance, so I don't have a lot of expectations, so theoretically I should enjoy it because I'm not putting a lot on it. The next space is Color of the Year. In this case, Pantone just put out their Color of the Year, and it's chocolate mousse, or it's like mousse brown. It's some weird shade of brown, and it's like, it is not a color I have floating around this house. That being said, I do have one brown book, and it also fits with I'm trying to read nonfiction for the year. So we're going with the Federalist Papers. I won't get into a whole thing. I know I went into a thing on it in my goals video, so I will just leave it here as it's a piece of history, and if you like Hamilton, you know what this is. The next space is a POC author, and while I do have the book, I don't at the moment know where it is, so I've got to hunt it down. But I'm going with Rise of Kyoshi by F.C. Yee. If you know Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know what this book is. I've been meaning to read it for ages, and I just never did. So now it's time to read it. There's not a whole lot to say beyond that. The next space is to read a novella, which means this is coming off my Kindle. And we know how I feel about those Kindle books. So I will put it here. It is Whiteout, and I will write the name of the author somewhere on here because at the moment I don't remember and I record on my phone. It is a LGBT romance, one of them being bi, I believe, and the other being gay, I believe. Don't quote me. I do know that they get trapped together during a snowstorm. And one of them goes, huh. Apparently I also like guys. I just think that's really vaguely... I like the forced proximity thing, and the idea that one of them's a playboy and one of them likes monogamy, and they are complete opposites, and yet somehow they work. It's a delight. Or at least the idea is. The next space is a 5-star prediction. And for that, I'm going with In Deeper Waters by F.T. Lukens. Sorry, I don't know why I stuttered over that. There is a lot I think I'm going to like. One of them's a prince. There's ship vessel, like, not piracy, but like that sailing sort of thing. According to this, one of them is coming of age, so I would assume 18. It seems like a fun little adventure with romance in there. I assume romance is actually going to be the center, and the adventure is the setting more so. But I've liked F.T. Lukens so far. I'm pretty sure I'm going to really enjoy this. The next space is a comped book, or a book that's been compared to something else, or another book. I flexed this a little bit. I went with Alan Alda, Things I Overheard While Talking to Myself, because on the back, it says, Alda is chatty, easygoing, and humble, rather like Mr. Rogers for grown-ups. That's a comparison, my friends, and that means it's a push for me to read more nonfiction. I'll take it. The next space is a friend rec. Brie has a playlist of book recommendation videos that she has done, and in one of them, she suggested Alexis Hall in general as an author to read, and that was all it took for me to be able to grab husband material. I read the first book, Boyfriend Material. It is on my shelf as a 5-star book, and I've been waiting to read this. Don't know why it took me this long, but now I have an excuse. Technically, she recommended, and I will take that technicality as a win. In the next row, we have a book over 400 pages, and I am going with Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. This book is about 604-ish pages, so well over the 400-page mark. This was something I had meant to read in 2024, and I just didn't get to it. So, on the list it goes with the hope I actually read it. The next space is special edition, or a book that has a special edition available. And while I do not have the special edition, I do have these Violent Delights that I have wanted to get my hands on for ages now. Ignore the stickers, I just haven't had the energy to go in with a hairdryer and get it off. I've been told this is vaguely a Romeo and Juliet retelling. I like retellings. Also, I don't branch out very much, and this is supposed to have like gangsters and stuff in it, which would be new to me. The next space is a book with chapter titles, and there was only one book I could possibly go to for this. Hammer of Thor, the second in the Gods of Asgard series by Rick Riordan. If there is someone who can give you the most information in the funniest way in their chapter titles, I don't know anyone else. When I double-checked, first off, full credit to this man who dedicated it to J.R.R. Tolkien. I also would dedicate many things to that man for what he has done for my love of fantasy. I will give you a perfect example of what I mean by hilarious chapter titles. The very first chapter is called, Could You Please Stop Killing My Goats? What? I guarantee that actually has something seriously to do with that chapter. But it's just the funniest thing possible. I mean, really. Also, I feel like as someone who has read a lot of Norse mythology, I should know what said goats are being talked about, but I have no idea. Every one of these Magnus Chase books makes me go back and reread more Norse mythology. I swear, it really does. The next space is an author's debut book. I have it. I'm going with Legendborn. And again, I will put the author's name here because I cannot remember off the top of my head. I have the book. I have the sequel to the book. At the moment, I cannot find it. So I'll put the cover here for you so you know what it is. I remember people talking about this as being a retelling of a sort. If I remember correctly, correct me if I am wrong. And it just sounded really interesting, and the cover was really cool, and I just need to read it. It seems really good. You ever have so much stuff sitting on top of a book that you're like, oh my god, if I pull this out, it is going to knock everything over? That just happened with this. So the next space is mental health rep. And I've been told this book fits. We're not going to discuss the cover. It's what I could get. And it is Six of Crows. Yes, I understand I haven't read Shadow and Bone yet, but we're just going to hit them both in the same year. So, Shadow and Crows, that should be a book as well. Six of Crows. I'm told there's mental health rep in it. I don't know a lot about it other than the characters are really awesome. And then it's broken into parts apparently, which I always kind of like. It feels more like a play. Again, much like Starbringer, the group itself sounds amazing. A convict, a sharpshooter, a runaway, a spy, a heartrender, and a thief. That group sounds fabulous and dangerous all at the same time. And I want to read more about them, or I want to read about them to begin with. The next space is Snake on the Cover, and I don't actually own books with a snake on the cover. So I have decided to take the one replacement for a mood read and use it for that prompt, and I will just pick something out. Probably it'll end up being a B&K book club book. The next space is a self-published book. Believe it or not, I don't pay attention to that stuff. I just grab books that I think are cool, so I didn't know. I am going with Legends and Lattes. The hand is here and the image is here because I don't actually own it. I thought I did. I own the second one. So that'll be a library book probably, or I'll go buy it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to do Legends and Lattes because everyone seems to love it and it seems like the vibe I'd like. Might as well get on that train. The next space is a new to you author. And for that, I'm using it to once again add a nonfiction book to my list. And it is going to be Ian McKellen by Gary O'Connor. I don't read nonfiction. I don't know who this dude is. So that counts as a new to me author. The next space is a TBR vet, or a book that has been on your TBR for ages. So all of my books. So I am going with a book that is part of a series I was gifted a couple of years ago. And it is Escaping from Houdini. It is part of the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Carrie, I'm going to mess up saying her name, so apologies all around. Carrie Maniscalco? I've read the first two books. I enjoyed them greatly. I love Audrey. And Thomas is a delight in that I think he's about as morally gray as you can go without being a bad guy. The things he does and says, you're just like, if this were the real world, I don't know if I'd be okay with it. But because it's in here and it's fantasy, I'm okay with it. But that being said, he completely respects Audrey at every turn, does not look down on her because she's a woman. She has proven herself time and time again that he's just like, yes. Unless he's protecting her, and then he may not tell her things. Because he knows she will toss herself into danger. Sorry, apparently tarot cards show up in this book, and in the back of the book, she's got pictures of the cards. And I don't know if I've ever shared this, but I have a tarot card collection. Like, I think I'm somewhere between 13 and 14 decks. So, tarot cards are a huge deal, and the fact that she's got pictures in here of them, oh, it just makes me want to make my own deck. I don't know why I didn't continue reading the series, but this may just be the kick I need to actually get through this and then get to the last one, because I love these books. So the final space is to take a prompt from another reading challenge. Instead of waiting, I just went back to Leandra's TBR Harvest and pulled the prompt Supernatural Vibes. And for that, we are not going to critique my choice or the fact that I liked the first book as an adult. Yep, we're reading New Moon. We are reading the second Twilight book. But we're reading New Moon because I want to read more. And I bought the entire series when I bought these, so I might as well get around to reading them. Also, I noticed these books keep getting thicker, which alarms me about hitting book 4. So those are my potential reads for 25 and 25. Let me know down below if you're going to be participating, if there's a prompt you are looking forward to, or if you have any suggestions for the prompts so that maybe I have a few more options just in case. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!